Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Amma ba'd. Ahabati fillah, a question was asked from one of our sincere brothers trying to atlab al-ilm. He said, he studies at a place that warns against one of the major ulama. I was asked about a markaz to study in a particular country, and from what I observed in the curriculum, thought it had benefit. The brother took the advice, as well as the advice of others, and found the sheikh there warns against Sheikh Saleh Usaimi, who I had praised, who's an alim, who's known. Now our brother wants sincere advice how to avoid the politics, as they heavily speak about issues of the Sa'afaka and regarding that debate and other issues, a lot of political issues. First and foremost, I would advise in general, if you are able to get out of that markaz, I would probably consider that if you aren't invested in what have you, because most of the time, any place that is starting this early, when you have just begun to study there, and it couldn't be more than a week that you've been studying there, and they're talking about this, and people have already involved you and are talking about major alims like this, then that's a very negative sign and a very dangerous sign, and that means you will probably be sucked into the fitna, no doubt, especially if the duration of your study will be for some period of time of a year or 2 years or 4 years or what have you. So first and foremost, I would really highly consider leaving the markaz. Secondly, if that is not really possible for you because you are financially invested, then you will have to do everything possible to try to just keep your head down and study and busy yourself with the good that you can obtain there from the books that they're teaching, and do everything possible to avoid the fitna. The third point I want to mention is that also, just in my experience, I have almost never been to a place to study, a formal place to study, or an informal place to study that busied the people like that. But I am aware of those scenarios. There are places, but most of the places, walillahi alhamd, the scholars that I respect, that are known from Ahlul Sunnah, from the major ones to those who are not on the same level, they never busied us with this kind of stuff. In fact, some of them even, I wouldn't say praised their critics, but they even were willing to assist for those students that wanted to leave and go study with their critics. So this is the methodology I saw, whereas what it sounds like I'm hearing from you is no doubt this is really, in fact, it has a smell of Hizbiyah. So it is unfortunate, and perhaps more research should have been done before entering the place. Another point is that you have to safeguard your deen, because when you go to a place to study, for example, someone who studies at an Ashari Institute, they're going to be affected by that i'tiqad. So it will be very difficult to distance themselves. But a lot of times brothers find themselves already invested, and maybe they have little choices. So then under those scenarios, do your best to listen to the major scholars, because even the scholar you mentioned, I've heard his name, but who is he compared to Usaimi? We need to be asking Usaimi about him. And this is what we find often. There are many traits there that reek of, unfortunately, the, Hizbiyah, plain and simple. So I would advise you to do your best, as you already know, to keep your head down, avoid the debates, unless you can get out of there, because it doesn't sound like, there's going to be some nucks, no doubt, in the benefit that you'll gain, because it will be impossible. People like that, in general, they do not leave people alone. They will not just leave you to just study and make up your own mind, but they will want to form your opinion, your viewpoint on a group of scholars known for the Sunnah, because they are already aligned with a partisan. So my advice is just to be very cautious if you are going to stay in that environment. Seek advice from scholars that are well known, from Ahl Sunnah, that are well known in their stature when it comes to some of these issues, and do not even waste your time. Wa sallallahu wa sallam ala nabiyyina Muhammad.